Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vivagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Shwara Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Uh, Back to 11th chapter. We have seen verse 36. Our Lord, it is but proper that the world is delighted and gratified by the glorification of you. The frightened demons run in all directions, and all the hosts of Siddhas bow down to you. Is that where we should begin? Huh? Yeah. So this is the verse 36. So we have seen that Arjuna is beginning to develop the attitude, the spirit of devotion. He is leaving behind the first reaction of wonderment, and then the second one of fear once he gets to understand the whole picture, in terms of the entire nature of the Lord, being the destroyer as well. And now he is developing a different kind of appreciation at the beginning, which points to something very interesting. A lot of people have a certain attitude of devotion, but when it is superficial, it is a conditional devotion. Yeah? Because at the beginning, oh yes, hey, the Lord is beautiful, God is love, God is compassion, and then when things get tough, yeah, and then the devotion is gone, such as in the case of my aunt, But now Arjuna is growing, and he begin developing real appreciation, devotion. And this devotion, it conduces to vairagya, or to surrender, or total acceptance in regards to all facets of the Lord. Yeah? As the Karmapala Datta, he has no sympathy for any individual soul. Everyone is going to receive one's prarabdha based on merit and demerit. So Arjuna is growing up. He is developing a proper attitude of surrender, devotion, vairagya, strength, force, wisdom. According to Vedanta, only through the entire picture and the full understanding of the nature of Saguna Ishvara, meaning to say have this Virat understanding, vision, darshana, or Vishvarupa darshana, a vision that Ishvara is the totality and it is the lawgiver and the giver of the result of our actions as well. He is the sheriff, to put it in terms of the American Far West. He is the sheriff and he gives back to us what we deserve. And not only it is in the nature of this apparent projection, the time principle, Kalan, that consumes everything that is projected. Every construct is going to be deconstructed in due time. Okay, and even if you want to become a cyborg, you're going to be deconstructed as well, because inert material also, goes south, to use a term often presented by Ramji. The mind has to be so extended, expanded, not rather than a narrow mind, so that one can go beyond fear. If you see God as your deity that is supposed to work hard to protect you and to fulfill your desires, you are set up, you are up to a great delusion and frustration because your mind is very narrow. It's very rare to find people who really understand the entire nature of God, Saguna God. But when the mind is expanded, only then we can go beyond fear and insecurity. In fact, according to Vedanta, only through this in the vision of Vishvarupa, no, devotion, true devotion can grow and surrender and appreciation. And unless you go through this, unless you develop this spirit, which is the most refined sort of human emotion, which is devotion, uh, unless you develop that kind of refined emotion in your body, your subtle body, devotion, love to the Lord, and therefore love to all beings, because every being is an expression of the Lord, is they are integral part of the Lord, and so on. So once we go through the development of this refinement, the sensibility, only then we're going to be qualified to go into the Upanishad Jnana Yoga. So it's useless, says Swam, to jump into Aham Brahmasmi like a lot of people do, including people that I have been teaching for years. When I started moving to the Upanishads, I was dealing with this problem. And I had a person who was helping to lead some groups, and he was under this problem as well. He jumped into Aham Brahmasmi, and he was taking academic knowledge as self-knowledge, and he was selling that notion to others. I had, funnily enough, asked him to go against the wishes of a lot of people who were somehow sympathizing to him. But I have seen Ramji doing that in the old days with different folks as well. You're gonna have to go. And I saw a lot of devotees of Ramji really going against Ramji in certain points because he was letting some people go. And I was pretty much with Ramji on those examples, because I understood the whole dynamics there. One has to be prepared to come to Vedanta, otherwise, the repetition is not going to fructify as security and lack of fear. If you want to conquer fear, if you want to conquer security, you need to prepare your mind to come to the point of total appreciation of Ishvara as is. As is. Now, it's very interesting. In the United States, when we used to buy used cars, the announcement says as is, no responsibility. So you want to come to life? Yes. So your destiny is not as you want, but as it is. So we need to develop that kind of finesse or sensibility and see the laws of the creation, understand the Lord. If you want to understand the Lord, we need to understand Lord's laws and principles. And we are not talking about physical and chemical laws. We are talking about the most important laws in reference to human jivas. Human jiva has this free will, this conscious mind or intelligence or intellect. that somehow is hooked with emotional body, and it compels the individual, moves the individual to live and respond to the stimulus coming from the field of interaction. And we have to understand that there are laws which are more in terms of psychological, ethical, moral, and they are all based on karma. Karma yoga, observance of dharma. So you need to understand the laws of dharma, the laws of karma. And to understand karma is difficult. Understand dharma, understand karma is difficult because we don't remember the breakfast we had last week. So we tend to forget actions we have done in the past, and much more we forget the actions. We are absolutely unaware of what we did in past janamas, incarnation. So you have to really get to understand this karmic equation in a way to accept that our intellectual ability cannot really connect all the dots, far from it. But we understand the logic. We understand that this universe is structured in a very, very intelligent order, following all kinds of laws and principles. Nothing is just an accident. It's not held by chaos, but otherwise by order, as Swami Dayananda used to say. And if you want to live in this world, create your own laws, you're going to be an outlaw. Yeah? We see people go to jail. There are some exceptions to the rule because they don't accept the laws and the rules of men, you know. So if we want to live according to our own rugged versions, we're going to violate the laws. Spiritually speaking, we need to understand the laws of the Creator, the real, true sheriff. And, and for that, we need to purify the ahamkara until we develop worship, a sense of worship, love, devotion, gratitude, reverence to the Creator. Only then we can begin moving towards Nirguna Brahman, making our efforts to understand the Aham Brahmasmi. But in order to transcend the Ahamkara, you need to understand the Vishvarupa nature of the Lord. Ahamkara should grow, purify, refine. Then it should fall. Just like the skin of a banana is required to protect the banana. Otherwise, the banana is going to die. It's not going to grow properly. Now, every fruit, this is a very nice analogy, so I'm present sometimes. If you pull a little bit of the skin of an avocado or any other fruit like we have here, if you open an avocado, ooh, too soon, and then the avocado is gone. We're never going to mature. No. So the ahamkara is like a skin, okay? It's there, and you cannot peel it off by will, by force, by suppression. You need to refine the ahamkara until it falls by itself. And the ahamkara here means to say the vanity aspect, the arrogance aspect of the aham, you know. It's not that aham disappears, because one has to live in society and we need to do our transactions. The aham should be there, but I like to put it more in terms, the ahamkara needs to be educated in the light of the teachings so that he is just an instrument in the hands of the Lord. Just like the skin of a banana, without which the banana will not mature and grow. You cannot peel off or suppress or destroy the ego, ahankara, like many people suggest out there. You need to mature your ahankara until it becomes very humble, very wise. And the ahankara is going to mature only through this relationship with the Lord until it sees the Lord from every angle as Vishwarupa, Darshana, vision of the Lord as it is. Once Vishwarupa Darshana is well established, the Ahankara is very, very mature, humble, and refined. And then one is good to go into the Jnana Yoga of the Upanishads and then transcend the Ahankara. Transcend what? The refined Ahankara. Okay? The dysfunctional Ahankara, the disturbed Ahankara, the conflicting Ahankara has to purify itself. And then we have an Ahankara, an intellect, which is properly developed, purified, refined. And then this purified ahamkara, which is no longer, it all depends how we define this ego, this ahamkara, because fundamentally ahamkara is reflect consciousness. So, but when we call ego, it's a reflected consciousness that somehow is under the spell of avidya, of self-ignorance. But once this ahamkara submits itself to the knowledge in the light of this knowledge, and then this ahamkara, this ego, is purified, and the very instrument that before was creating, the sickness of samsara, the pain of samsara, now it is an instrument that is ready to recognize its true nature as nirguna, limitless Brahman. Only then self-knowledge becomes very easy. Like we hear, I heard Ranjit saying many times in his way, it's very simple, but it's not easy. Why? Because, maturity requires effort, and nowadays most people do not like the idea of having to prep to get this self-knowledge, You can never escape from ahamkara. You need to allow it to get so ripe, so ripe, so ripe that such as a mango, it falls by itself suddenly once it is mature. And the ripening method is karma dharma yoga, upasana yoga. Is understanding the Lord, the nature of the saguna nature of the Lord until you have the entire picture, the total vision, the entire vision of the Lord with maturity, with not only devotion, revelation, but acceptance, surrender. Whatsoever Prabhupada manifests, we know this is an order intelligently designed, and everything is good. Nothing escapes the ultimate Lord, which is Nirguna Ishvara. And Saguna Ishvara is holding it in place. If Pralaya comes, Pralaya is going to happen within consciousness. Because consciousness must be there to say, oh, now here it comes Pralaya. Here it comes Pralaya. A total pralaya or just the end of any civilization as it has happened so many times in the past. Therefore, Arjuna says, I understand. Now, only then, this is very nice, only now I understand why our great Mahatmas have so much, appreciation, devotion the gratitude and reverence towards you. They are very wise people. They are mature people. Now I understand that maturity is, is absolutely required to develop this appreciation, this devotion, this love. The ones who have got this infinite vision of you as the totality, only them develop the highest possible devotion, appreciation to you. And they even understood that your true nature is identical to their very nature because you are Nirguna Atma, the Mahatmas are Nirguna Atma, but yet they can't help but bow down, appreciate, and offer you flowers and namaskar. You, Saguna Ishwara. Why they appreciate so much? Now I can understand. You need to have a mind that was so refined to identify the miracle of life. And I'm going to share a little piece with you guys. It's something very strange. I have a small little chicken that was born, but it was a single one. The mother died, and I brought it in here. And she's not going to survive unless I take her to my bedroom and I keep her under the blanket and I feed her. You know, you know, it hardly can stand and is not being able to eat. So, what do you think, Mark? What is my dharma in this question, in this moment? You know, so things like that. We need to have a sensibility to see the miracle of life and uh, and at least be, you know, offer love, compassion, empathy for that karma. You know, a little baby lost her mother, and it's not going to make most probable. I tried to take it to the house of Sylvia. Sylvia said, "No way. I'm kidding, Sylvia. I'm joking. I'm putting words here." Even Bhagwan becomes a source of fear if I do this mistake. Now he says, so people who are not mature enough, they are going to experience fear, insecurity, even towards Ishwara, because they understand the Ishwara is the one who delivers our Parabhada. And lately there are a lot of adversities coming to me. So here in Brazil, there are a lot of Christians, and the Christians, they are evangelic Christian. There are all kinds of evangelic churches here. And they are called tementes de Deus. They are not called Christian. They say those who fear God. How you say? God. Clearly, they are all called tementes de Deus. You know, aqueles que they are always afraid of God. Why? Because you know, there is a possibility of heaven, but there is a huge possibility of hell, and they are not confident that they go to heaven. And one thing or another, they are all the time very afraid of God. These are due to narrow-minded vision in respect to God. And then people end up being called God's feared people. In Brazil is full of God's feared people. I found it very interesting, this expression in Portuguese. If I do that mistake, any mistake, Ishwara is going to punish me. In this case, this immature religion person, in that case, their gods become the very source of fear itself. All because they are infantile devotees. immature devotees. Therefore, Arjuna, I understand that most people in the battlefield is immature and they are very frightened. But you are a mature person, and you together with the rishis and together with the what else he said? The rishis and the demons, no, and the rishis. Now, with the rishis and the devas, they are delighted, you know. Arjuna said, I am delighted by your glorification. The Mahatmas are delighted. The demons, they are afraid, they are running away in all directions. The Siddhas and the Devas, they are all delight bowing down to you. So how to get to this kind of maturity, this kind of love and empathy for the miracle of life, to God, and so on? The mature people, they revel, they enjoy in you because the beauty of seeing you in your total glory is far superior to any securities and pleasures they get from associating to people and things of this world. So always when we attach it to the few people, to few children, wife or husband, we're going to have a little joy, but this joy is wrapped up in fear of losing that support. That is a very superficial defect enjoyment. The narrow minded attachments we do with people, things, and circumstances, they offer very little to us. Anxiety is also all the time there. But the pleasure born out of association to you, or the pleasure born out of non attachment to people, things, and circumstances around me, it produces a certain peace and satisfaction which is totally different. Vairagya. Vairagya. Non-attachment. Non-attachment can only be born out of attachment to God. Non-attachment to things like Shimaya used to say again and again in the old days. I don't know, old days, new days. I used to say the whole process is just like detach and attach. Detach and attach. You remember those passages, Link? He says that you need to detach from the world and attach to God. That's the path. The ananda of attaching to God is a total different dimension or nature. And it's available only to a few people who have been able to grow, mature to the point of understand Saguneshwara's nature. Therefore, Jagata, the mature people, they revel and they are attached to you rather than attached to people, things, and circumstances. They are no longer interested in getting attached to people, things, and circumstances. And then Swami shares with us a composition, Harinama Kirtanam. He said it's very popular in Kerala. The author writes something very nice. He says, Oh Lord, I should never have an idea of separation or individuality. as I relate to people, things, and circumstances around me, such as my wife, my uncle, my children, my grandpa. I should never be attached to the idea that I and them, which cause attachment and dependence. So I don't want even that notion rising me. If by any chance, in spite of my wish, I should develop that notion of separatedness and attachment, please let it be identified as soon as possible. Either, please help me never to get to that condition of being identified, attached, and suffering, or allow me not to have any identification with anything. And then Swami presents this with the concept, which is very beautiful. When we come to Vedanta, we are offered two paths. One is association, but not with the people, like family members or old acquaintance, or you need to associate with everything. Okay, everything. You just say, no, I am integral part of Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. I am here. I am developing equanimity, vairagya, and I just take, whatsoever Ishvara puts in my way, and I take that as prasada, and I do my best to navigate in this difficult world. So this is one way. I identify that everything is Ishvara, and I accept it all. I surrender to it all. Total identification with Saguna Ishvara. I see everything is Ishvara. And the other option Vedanta offers is no identification at all, no association at all. Now, one is I am associated with the entire cosmos, or I'm not associated with any of that because none of this is real. All of this is but a superimposition caused by the prakriti of Maya. Zero identification, you are Brahman. Total identification, you understood the nature of Ishvara. In both, you're going to be safe. In both, you're going to be safe. That goes to the concept that if you really grow as a devotee of the Lord, as a Kama Yogi, you will pretty much protect, the shield. Kama Yoga is going to offer you the knowledge in respect to this relationship with Saguna Lord, that it works as a shield to protect you from the sufferings of samsara. In both cases, you're going to be protected from samsara. But most people problem is they cannot have a total detachment, and they cannot have a total attachment. They cannot understand zero association, and they cannot understand they accept total association, zero identification or total identification. No, they want to associate only with those people, things, and circumstances that match, conform to their likes. They want make a selection of what I surrender to, what I accept, what I appreciate, and then we suffer. Some few identification makes me a miserable in between. Jiva Ishvara has no samsara. Select few, we suffer with them. So that few identification makes me a miserable in between Jiva. So he say that you in between because you did not make up your mind. You did not decide no identification, no association, or total identification. You're in between, You are just like moved by your rugged vessel, want things your own way. The first stage is what? To develop vairagya by understanding the Ishvara system, understand that whatsoever comes in terms of people, things, and circumstance is designed as my own prarabdha. And then we take everything as prasad with love, reverence, and appreciation. And that means I accept everything. I am a good devotee of the Lord. I take everything as it comes. I'm not victimizing myself. I'm not pointing my finger to anybody or any government. I'm just a good karma yogi. I'm protected against the suffering of samsara. Brahman has no samsara. Jiva has got maha samsara unless it resolves itself in the understanding of this relationship with Saguna Ishvara. So I used to say that for a long time in my Portuguese class that the first proper resolution that needs to take place is the jiva, the ahamkara, the ego, has to resolve itself in Ishvara. Now, I think I picked up that from everything I studied under Ramji as well. So it has to be resolved in Ishvara. Not that you become Ishvara in the sense, oh, now I'm the powerful Ishvara. No. You understood the nature of this relationship, and your ego, your likes and dislikes must be resolved in the altar of the Dharma of the Lord, the laws and principles that hold and manage this mithya order. So the ego needs to be purified in this knowledge, understanding of this relationship. So it resolves itself in Saguna Ishvara. Only then it further resolves itself in Nirguna Brahman as Brahman. So if you do this resolution within Ishvara, you are not going to become omniscient, omnipresent, but you're going to have a very peaceful mind, a very sattvic mind, very clear mind, free from excess of Rajaguna, Tamaguna, because you understood the system. If you understand Aham Brahmasmi, there is no samsara for you. But if you stay in between, you're going to have Maha Samsara, great suffering. So it says that the Rakshasas who do not appreciate the Dharma, the laws, the nature of the law, they are very much afraid. They are running in all directions and so on. Who is afraid of the police? Why should I be afraid of police if I'm following the rule and law? So the Vishvarupa becomes a source of fear and panic if you are violating God's laws and principles. Adamic people, they are always afraid. They are always tense. They are always stressed up. You see the elite who somehow controls the planet. Sometimes they develop a certainty that they are never going to be exposed and caught, you know, and then they may not suffer much fear. So they break laws, their own laws, right and left so often. They are so fake. They everything that comes from their mouth is lies, but they own the media, they own this, they own everything, they own the politicians, in this age in which we are living. You think that they know what is peace and love and happiness? They know. They are all the time afraid, 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 afraid. They are afraid because they violating everything, the law of man and the law of God. And deep inside, they are afraid of going to prison. But most of these people say, no, no, I am untouched. I can do any atrocity. I can break any law. Nobody has the power to take me to prison anymore, you know? So it's one thing. But maybe deep inside they see, but maybe I'm not going to escape God's judgment, which is, my own judgment. I'm just going to be there, judge myself because I know I have been behaving like much worse than a pig. Adamic people, they are frightened of you, Lord, and they try to escape your laws, running in all directions, running to all kinds of underground locals, we could say. They say that in the underground world of the six locals below, you find all these entities. But where they go, where they can escape, they run helter shelter. They run all over. You can escape from the law policy, but you cannot escape from God. That's the bottom line. All the Siddha, Purushas, all the Yanis who know your true nature and even your Saguna nature, they are doing Namaskara and they are really, really enjoying this connection, this vision, this darshana of you here in the middle of the battlefield. They have grown so much that they are willing to accept whatsoever comes according to the Dharma karma laws, even their own deaths. And if at all they pray for what? Oh Lord, don't bother to change any laws to favor me. If anything, give me a little bit more strength to accept the most fearful thing in the human nature, which is my own physical destruction in the battlefield. If things can be prayachitam, give me the knowledge and the strength to do prayachitam. Nothing wrong. So if things can be prayachita, give me the knowledge and strength to do prayer. So what's more specifically his meaning here with this prayachitam?
I believe that means atonement for violations of Dharma or something. You try to make things right again.
Yeah, again, I have to read the following line. So, if things can be modified by spiritual sadhana, give me the strength, the knowledge, and the strength to do. We have seen it yesterday, that we can do things that are going to minimize or neutralize one's prarabdha. But give us the power, the strength, the clarity, and the knowledge to accept anything that is irremediable. It's a choiceless prarabdha. Let me accept all choiceless prarabdhas, so that it's called namaskara. Namaskara. Surrender with a prayer. Allow me to accept, the most fearful possible outcome here. So therefore, all these groups of Mahatmas and wise people are doing namaskara to you. And that takes us to the next verse in which Arjuna says, "O great Lord, why they do not salute you who are greater than even Brahmaji, and who is the first creator? Why they are not really saluting, rejoicing in you, and so on, who are greater than even Brahmaji. You have created Brahmaji, all limitless one, who is the ruler of all devas, the abode of all universe. You are the cause and you are the effect. You are beyond all duality, even causality. You are the only imperishable truth. You are beyond all pairs of opposites. So now Arjuna is saying like, how come people cannot understand and develop this devotion, this surrender, this reverence, appreciate them? Why they are so insensitive towards you, their own creator? So ignorance is quite something. And in nowadays world we live in, and we look around, we say, oh my God, can it get any worse? And all is due to ignorance and total rejection of God. Spiritual, religious ignorance. So here Arjuna says, anyone who appreciates your glory as the totality, as the cosmos, as the intelligence holding it together, as the Kama Paladatta, everyone who is wise is doing namaskara to you. And this is very natural and instinctive. Swami says that some scientists has discovered more and more the glory of creation, the uniqueness and glory of the creation. He says that I would like to know if Einstein has ever really said that. If you guys know, please let me know. According to Swamiji's, Einstein said once, the more I'm studying the creation, I cannot help but surrender or appreciate the glory of the Creator, the Lord. In fact, more you see the totality, the ego refines and humility becomes very natural. The more I understand and develop a vision of Saguna Ishvara. Therefore, Arjuna asks why people are not really feeling the same way, doing namaskar in the same way, why they are keeping the vanity and arrogance, defying you and your laws. If they are doing namaskara, there is no askaryam. If they do not do namaskara alone, is askaryam, because so wonderful is the totality, and that's why we should develop bhakti. So now I read that and I've said, I'm not going to do any research. I'm going to ask you guys, askaryam. If they are doing namaskara, there is no askaryam. If they do not do namaskara alone, there is a lot of askaryam. What is the literal meaning of this word, please?
Ascharya is that wonder.
Okay.
So if they fully appreciate the Lord, then there is no surprise or shock or wonder about it. If they do not appreciate the Lord, then they are, I don't know. What about you, Mark? Have you or Sylvia?
Well, I remember Skaram from earlier when we talked about the first emotion he had was a Skaram, wasn't it? Which was wonder. But in this sense, it seems to me like a Skaram means pride almost.
Mm.
If they're doing Namaskara, there is no pride, there's humility. But if they don't do it, alone there is pride. Pride alone exists. But I don't know, because yeah, it translates as wonder, I believe,
Yeah.
or wonderment.
So because Swami has put it in a certain order that the first reaction is wonderment, but the poise of wonder. But later on you go through fear to come to total surrender and appreciation, devotion. Uh, and then he say, if they're doing namaskar, they have gone over, Askarya. If they don't do a namaskara, that is an indication of Askarya. But
Well, both of those, wonder and fear, came to Arjuna when he was reflecting that immature status, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh,
maybe it's a mixture of wonder and fear. If they don't do namaskara, they are not a devotee, and that itself is indication of wonderment and fear. So, because so wonderful is the totality, and that is why one should develop devotion, even studying any aspect of creation, such as the sciences, biology, entomology. It will make you wonder. So wonderment will be there. Astronomy will make you wonder as well. The science you take and you go deep is going to bring you to wonderment. Anything you see in the TV in terms of national geography or Discovery Channel is going to make you like, wow. You cannot avoid but wonderment. If you are a scientist, will stop with wonderment. If you are a bhakta, the wonderment will express itself in the form of devotion. Yeah. So one went beyond the wonderment, which is present here as a first stage which produce fear rather than devotion. Yeah. Therefore, any aspect of creation makes me do namaskara to you. Therefore, Arjuna says, who will not do namaskara? And if a person cannot do namaskara, it only showed his narrow mind. So that what that person requires is only sympathy, because the person is missing something greater. Like if a child cannot appreciate music, it's because of what? The child has not reached that level of sensibility to appreciate music. Therefore, the child is missing that dimension. That's very nicely put. Similarly, whoever is Nastika and whoever has not understood the scriptures properly. So either you are an atheist, materialist, or a philosopher who reads the scripture but do not understand it properly. We should not get angry with them. Our attitude should be they are missing a totally different dimension, such as the child unable to appreciate good music. They have to sensitize their mind in order to enjoy music. I like this word, sensitize. Otherwise, it will be like donkey life only. So Mark knows my dog. He's a very nice dog. He even makes an effort to say something, Mark. But if I put my dog next to me and I put some nice music, there will be no expression of enjoyment. You know? He only enjoys what? Going for a walk and a good meal. The only thing that they enjoy. And when he is horny, he wants sex as well. It's very strange to see dogs having sex because you look at them, Mark, and they have no expression of any joy. You understand? Have you ever seen that? Well, when I was a child in Brazil in the old days, we used to see that on the street because the dogs were just left in the streets. It's a very funny picture. The one who cannot appreciate literature, music, the scriptures, and so on, they have a mind which needs to go through a process of refinement to become sensitive. The person is saksata pasuho.
That means an animal in reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Yet we have a certain appreciation for cows and dogs and cats. No? But with certain people, it's a little bit more difficult because they are like an animal, but they are much more dangerous than any animal, you know, because they have an ego, they have raga vesha, and when they want things their way, they may do things to harm others. They are animals. The only difference is that tails and horns are missing. The only difference from the cows is trinana kadanaha. The cow lives eating grass and these people usually they don't like to eat grass. Yeah. In fact, Passus feel happy that one competitor is less. Okay. Imagine if the human beings would like to eat green grass. So, and then there go our cows, our milk, our cheeses, and everything, because there will be nothing left. Therefore, if I do not have music, it's not because the music is absent. It's because I don't have a sensitive hearing. I cannot really enjoy certain things. The whole thing about being a religious, spiritual person, in analogy, is about that. None of this makes any sense to anyone with a grosser, insensitive mind, The concept of God, the scripture, the Upanishads, Vedanta, none of this makes any sense. The same thing, gross human jivas, they have no appreciation for certain things, such as good music, among other things. If I say there is no God, it's not because God is absent, but it's because I don't have the reception. My receptor is kaput. I do not have an extra receptor or antenna, kudumi. I cannot receive the beauty, the glory of the Lord because my mind is gross. I cannot sense, the presence of God and its intelligent order. Anyway, why won't people be a devotee and surrender and bow down and do namaskara? If they are sensitive, they will certainly do that. And how great are you In that verse, it says, sensitive talks about the glory of the Lord, oh Lord, the greatest one, because on the macro, it's always the greatest compared to any micro. The greatest. So the Vishvarupa is the greatest vision of the Lord because you see the Lord as the entire cosmos. You are the creator. You have created even Brahmaji and all the other Devajis. In Puranas, we hear these stories. This is the Puranic approach. Brahmaji appears like this and like that. But the Vedantic approach is different. Ishvara is Samasti Karana Chaitanya Shariram. Vedanta, we present Ishvara as the macrocosmic causal body of the entire cosmos. Brahmaji is Samasti Sukshma Shariram. And then we present Brahmaji. So it's difficult, different words. We could say the first one is Brahman, and the second one is Ishvara as a creator. Brahmaji is Samasti Sukshma Shariram, so the mind, the Hiranya Garbha, the mind of this intelligence entity. Sukshma Sharira is born out of the Samasti Karana Sharira. So as we know, everything comes from the most subtle until it becomes the vision, physical material vision of the Lord as the universe. So the Sukshma Sharira of the Lord is the collective total mind, present, past, and future. It's a byproduct of the Karana Sharira, causal body. Arjuna says, you are the creator of Brahman. Brahmana here is not Satyam, is not Nirguna Atma. Anatma Brahma here is Brahmaji. Okay, he's just elaborating on how glorious and amazing is the exposition of these teachings in the scriptures of Vedanta. You are the infinite one because time and space exist in you. You do not exist in time and space, but otherwise. One who is the Lord of all devas, you are the abode of all universe. You do not live in the universe. Everything lives in you as a mere superimposition. You are the cause, you are the effect, you are beyond both and all opposite pairs. You are Kariya Rupa and Karana Rupa. You are both. Suddenly, he comes to Vedanta, details in the next slide. He says, finally, Arjuna begin understanding the Upanishads. Okay. So are we good for Friday or not?
I'm good for Friday.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Shvara Namaste. We meet again soon. Shvara willing.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Arlindo.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.